Okay, so when we left you, we were talking about family heirlooms and what you do if your family has no interest in what you thought they would want. And I actually brought something from my collection here for Dr. Lori to take a look at. This is creamer and sugar, and I think it was a butter dish at one point that my grandmother, who was born in 1897, left to me, and I have taken great care of it over the years. I've never used it because I was always afraid that if I used it, I would damage it in some way. My children have absolutely no interest in this. So my question to you is, what do I do with this now?
Well, you know, I settle a lot of disputes with families because they come to my appraisal events and they say, I don't know what to do, or we want to get rid of it, or the kids don't want it. Sometimes at different times of the children's lives they want the pieces. They didn't want it then, and then they're sorry 5 years later. There's that. This particular set is a relatively popular and well-known American glass set. Now, first of all, it dates based on the elements that you have here, the little pairs. These are called plenty. And plenty basically showing you that the family in the early part of the 1840s, which is when it dates to, about 1840 to about 1860, prior to the Civil War. This particular set, which is going to be valued somewhere around $3,500, 1, 2, 3 pieces. And you are missing a piece.
I'm not offering them to my children, and they all of a sudden came back to mom.
There you go.
Really?
See, once you know what's what. That's true. The other thing is there was another piece, because this does not go with that. It might sit on there, but you see this? This was actually with a piece that actually...
Like a jelly bowl or something.
Yeah. A different... Now, you don't have it.
No,
see, these were both open pieces, and you know that because this has been actually smoothed down like that one, okay? So, fine, that's why you have the appraiser. But basically, the idea here is that it's an earlier piece.
Okay, so if your kids don't want them... you're saying maybe they might at some point.
Yeah. The other thing that a lot
of folks... But if I want to get rid of it now, I should just go ahead and do it and not wait for them to
It's your object.
Okay.
But once the kids know, they tend to change their minds. You know what I say? Everybody's kids are millionaires,
$3,500, all of a sudden, oh, I want that piece.
I want that piece.
I kept it for sentimental reasons because my grandmother had given it to me, and you know, but I think I actually might hold on to it now. I brought another piece. It's a plate, and I can't imagine that it's worth any money, but it has huge sentimental value in our family because it has the initial B on it, which was my maiden name, Bruffy. And apparently in the mid-30s or early 40s, my father and my aunt won a photo contest. They were the most picturesque children, and the prize was a set of dishes, which I have, but I didn't bring in.
A service for 12?
It's a service for 4.
Oh, service for 4.
And it's really, it's horrifically ugly. This is just an idea of what it looks like. But I can't bear to part with it. Am I being silly? I just like the idea that you know, they won this when they were children.
No, you're not being silly at all. They're objects, and objects carry a lot of emotions, which is why we have all these conversations about them. You know, no, you're not being silly to hold on to it. I would say that when you look at any piece of china, if you look for the bright white clay, don't worry so much about the marks, look for the clay. So no, you're not silly at all. Enjoy it.
All right. You said one of the things that we should look for is fine art. You have an example of a painting that perhaps someone may have found in their garage or in the basement or the attic.
This particular painting was found at a thrift store for $10. And that painting, in fact, I want you to have a sense of the unexpected. This is why I want you to stick with those categories: painting, furniture, and precious metals and jewelry. This particular piece was picked up at a thrift store. It was $10. It was picked up from by one of my clients. And interestingly enough, that is a Frank Schoonover painting, a major Delaware Brandywine River artist. And that piece is worth $15,000.
Oh my goodness.
So the unexpected is what you want to be careful of. Now, it may not be your style, but that's a fabulous painting, and you wouldn't know unless, you know, somebody's expert eyes were on it.
Well, you know what? We're going to ask if we could use your expert eyes. Our senior producer, Janet Tegley, is here, and she has been dying to know the value of a piece of property that you've had for quite some time. Tell me about it, Janet.
Well, this chair that I brought in today was given to my grandmother by a family friend who claims that she bought it in England in a castle. And it was purchased, they purchased it in about 1920, and I don't know how old it was when they bought it, but they had it in their family. When the family friend died, my mother acquired it, and at one point I asked for it, and I've had it for many years.
And you're curious to know if it has any value?
Yes, because I've had it appraised a couple of times, and on one appraisal it was quite valuable. On the other, it was like a kitchen chair that you find at a thrift shop.
Okay, Dr.
Janet
Lori's
did
taking a
something
look at
very
it.
important, and very important. First of all, she asked for something she wanted. That's very important, and it's hard to do. People go, oh, I don't want to be bold and take, that's a good idea. If you like it, you should say it. If you look at your chair is not unlike church architecture of the time. When you look at a piece of furniture, furniture actually should look like buildings. The other thing that you have here, it is called Gothic Revival. If you think about stained glass windows, it may remind you of the back of the chair. The back of that chair has a nice peak at the top, and that chair dates anytime between 1875 and 1895. That chair is an English chair based on the wood, and it is hand carved. It's in excellent condition, and the negative spaces, or the cutouts, are what you look for to see whether or not, because it's unsigned, whether or not it is an authentic piece, and indeed it is. It's valued about $6,000 to about $7,500.
Okay, girlfriend, we're going to split this, right?
So you're already jettisoning the chair.
This is the best 2 minutes of her day.
I know.
What do you think? Show. Oh my gosh.
It's better. And here's why it's better.
I have another one.
Yeah, that's why.
That's why it's better.
Right.
So glad that you came on.
Oh my gosh, I had even the high value I got wasn't the value that you've given me.
And now you're getting all these different values. You have to think about agenda. What does this person, I don't care about your chair. You're going home with your chair.
That's right.
But that's important.
Okay,
That's
we
important.
have just about 45 seconds left. What advice would you give if people are starting to downsize, they're trying to unload what's in their property so that they're not overwhelmed? Do you do it one piece at a time? Do you do one room at a time? How do you start?
Take your time. Take your time. Make sure you have an unbiased appraisal, okay? And don't let it go until you know what it's worth.
Okay, great advice. Gosh, I don't know, you made me happy with my $3,500 and her with her $12,000.
Two nice faces.
I'm going to be digging through stuff like crazy now. Dr. Lori, always wonderful to have you here with us. Thank you so much.
pleasure. Thank
Janet,
you.
good news for you. Glad you could be with us. If you have
you.
questions or comments, email me at lynn@lynndoyle.net, and we will make sure that Dr. Lori gets a hold of them. Until the next time, thanks for watching. We'll see you.